Now you see me. Now you don't. With the help of some movie magic, I have turned invisible. But what if I told you that there was actually a way to become invisible using optics and material science? You might not believe me, but hear me out. This is called cloaking. In the most basic terms possible, incident light waves from a source reflect off an object, causing our eyes to see the object. So, if an object is to be cloaked, two requirements must be met. It can produce no shadow and no reflection. When light moves from one medium to another, the speed of light changes. This causes the light to bend, much like the way the wheels of a toy truck move when one wheel is on the rough surface and the other is on a smooth floor. How much the light bends depends on the index of refraction of the medium or the material. Most natural materials do not allow light to bend around their surfaces. Instead, the light is either reflected, passed through, or absorbed. However, a special branch of engineered materials called metamaterials solve this problem because unlike natural materials, they have a negative index of refraction. Metamaterials are composed of tiny individual subunits which are made up of multiple materials in complex arrangements. Also, metamaterials usually have negative indices of refraction which allow light to bend around their surfaces. Two other conditions must also be satisfied. One being that the subunits of the metamaterial must be small enough to prevent any light from getting inside the material. The second being that the quickest path for the light should be a curved path. As dictated by Fermat's principle, light generally assumes the path of a straight line. However, in this case, the light's quickest path must be made to be a curved path. The reason these two conditions must be satisfied can be explained with an analogy. Let's pretend that you are trying to get a ball from point A to B, but there's an object enclosed in a mesh dome in its path. Since a straight line path is not possible because of the mesh dome, the ball must follow a curved path that hugs the surface of the mesh in order to reach B in the fastest possible time. In addition, the spacing in the mesh cannot be larger than the ball, because if this occurs, the ball will pass through the surface and will bounce off the object. By analogy, the subunits of the metamaterial must be smaller than the wavelength of the light in order to prevent the light from entering and reflecting off the object. Our second requirement for creating a cloak would be to ensure that no shadow is created. In order for the shadow to be created, an object must block the light from a source, like the sun. Although some of the light is blocked, a majority of it goes around the object and makes a shape that is a silhouette of the object. This only occurs for opaque and translucent objects. So what about transparent objects? Generally, transparent objects allow light to pass through and follow its original path. In order to make the objects appear transparent, the metamaterial ensures that the light returns to its original path after bending it, thus making the object seem transparent and thereby creating no shadow. What once existed purely in the realm of science fiction or fantasy is now destined to become a reality with the help of nanoengineering. Scientists have already managed to cloak objects for wavelengths in the microwave region. Cloaking objects in the visible spectrum is not far behind.